Hola, hola, amigas. Welcome to another episode of Modern Latina in Midlife. Thank you so much for being here once again. Happy New Year. I hope you enjoyed the holidays and that you had some time to rest. In fact, I hope you're still making time to rest and hibernate. It's still winter time, and that's what our cycles call for. So, anyhow, today I have a very special guest joining us once again. Last time she was here, it has been one of the most downloaded episodes on my podcast. So, of course, I loved having her back again because it was such an amazing and informative episode. This is Monica Lorraine I'm speaking about. She was here in episode 11. We talked about navigating midlife with astrology and power your journey with the planetary cycles. So, if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. Super informative. Today, we are talking about guiding your midlife path with astrology in 2024. Discover 3 simple shortcuts to empower your journey around 1, relationships, 2, purpose, and 3, personal timing. Monica Lorraine is a soul empowered coach, astrologer, and human design consultant. She is a creator of Soul Coaching Breakthrough Method, a customized 90-day program to help you unlock more love, money, and meaning in your life. She specializes in helping women who are on a self reflection and empowerment journey release the subconscious patterns that are preventing them from creating the tangible results they really want in their personal, financial, or spiritual life. Monica is known for her ability to laser in on her clients' charts, identify their patterns of resistance, and map out the clearest path to creating the outcome they desire and deserve. The Soul Coaching Breakthrough Method is a combination of coaching, astrology, and human design and hypnotherapy. You can learn more about her private sessions, online classes, and one-on-one coaching programs by connecting with her on Instagram at soul_empowered. Let's welcome her once again. Welcome to the podcast once again, Monica Lorraine. I'm so honored to have you here. This is your second time on the podcast, and I do want to let you know that the first podcast we did together has been the most downloaded episode that my podcast has had. So
Oh,
just
I'm
FYI
excited.
to those of you, that would be
Ooh.
episode 11, and we'll talk about it a little bit more
Yes.
later on. But welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to be back. And when you said, hey, do you want to come back for a second show? I was like, yeah, sign me up. Let's do it.
Nice,
I'm
nice.
super excited. You want to talk about the topic, or you want me just to dive right in?
Well, I guess let me just introduce it real quick. We're going to be talking
Yeah.
about guiding your midlife path with astrology in 2024. So, I have here discover 3 simple shortcuts to empower your journey around relationships, purpose, or personal timing. And I love that. Sounds
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So, let's get going. Tell us
Cool.
what are
Cool.
these 3 simple shortcuts? Is it 3 simple shortcuts for each area, the relationships, purpose, and personal timing,
Yes.
or is it one shortcut for each?
It's one, well, it's a shortcut for each one.
Okay,
Is
perfect.
what it is, right? And
Nice.
and I was when I was contemplating about what did I want to talk about this time? What did I want to bring up? What do I feel is most important for people, especially women who are in midlife, to know about their astrology chart? Because it's just, and it's no secret how much it's helped me in my life. It's helped you. It's helped countless clients of mine and yours.
Mhm.
And I thought, what would be, the most important things for somebody to know if they were either looking into their astrology chart for the first time, or they've been kind of poking around in it for a little while. And I chose the 3 most popular topics that women always want to talk to me about. And it's
Mhm.
by any time that they get to me by way of a podcast, or one of their friends referred them, it's always about one of these 3 topics. It's
Mhm.
always about either their relationships, it's about their purpose, like, wanting
Mhm.
some clarity around their purpose, or it's like, my most favorite thing they say is, what the hell's going on in the stars? So I call that your
Mhm.
personal timing, like, what's going on, because I don't know and I need some clarity.
Okay.
And so I decided to pick those 3.
Awesome.
And the great thing about each one of those topics is it's very specific to what the woman needs at this moment, whatever she's experiencing in this
Mhm.
particular time. That's what we're going to focus on. But each one has a shortcut. And the reason I say it's
Mhm.
a shortcut is because there's many ways to figure out what you really need in your relationships, from your relationships, what you want, what you desire. There's even countless workshops, books, and podcasts on it, right? But when I pull up someone's astrology chart, it's going to give me the very specific pieces that's going to lead her there in the shortest amount of time. Same thing with the purpose. There's all kinds of different tests that you can take and online surveys. But when I just open up that chart and I take a look and I zero in on what is this person's path, their gifts, all those types of things, I can see it. And then when it comes to personal timing, it's the same thing. I open up the chart, I take a look at what's going on in the sky right now. How is it affecting the woman's life or the circumstances? So that's why I chose those three. What I'm going to
Yes.
do today, because I love to
I
teach,
love
is
that. And I love that
I'm
it's a shortcut, and yeah,
yes,
I can certainly see how it like you're going directly to that
yeah,
to that thing
yeah.
on the chart. And I can envision it when I was going through mine with you. So let's do
Yeah.
this.
And I just want to say one thing about this as well. One of the reasons why I like to do it this way is because I find that in the world of astrology, you could really go down that rabbit hole. You can just end up more confused.
Hmm.
There's more astrology jargon. I'm not sure what this means. People tend to want to go into the very specifics and the details about it, but then they don't quite know how to apply it in their daily life. So I'm being a manifesting generator in human design. I'm designed to find shortcuts, as you are as well,
Yes.
and or the shortest path from where they are to where they want
Right.
to go, right? And I'm like, okay, so knowing that that's part of my design, I'm going to bring that gift into astrology, right?
Hmm.
And so I want to start with the first one. First one is relationships. It's important to understand what's in your astrology chart when it comes to relationships, because it allows you to understand and clearly communicate your specific needs, desires, values, all those things. So I wrote a couple little notes because I didn't want to miss any of the bullets that are super important. So, couple of things. If you have pen and paper, you can write this down. If not, you guys could replay this. Well, you or the listener, Sonia.
Oh, okay.
So,
I'm like,
yeah,
I
one
better
of
write this
the
down.
yeah, well, yeah, or you could go back and listen to it.
Okay,
So,
cool.
when I look at somebody's chart who is coming to me for relationship clarity, I like to call it relationship insights. And
Mm-hmm.
typically, women come to me about their love life, their current relationship, stuff like that, right? But this can also work whether it's your children, whether it's you and your mother. I've been doing a
Oh,
lot of sessions on mother-daughter relationships, which has been
hmm.
very interesting.
That is
Consider,
interesting.
yeah, that's like a whole other like yeah, rabbit hole I'll be
Hmm.
going down pretty soon.
Love that.
Because it's showed up so many times in the past couple of weeks that I can't ignore it now, right? I'm like, this is important to talk about the relationships between mothers and daughters, especially if they're
Love that.
kind of the strained ones, um, through the lens of astrology, right? So you'll
Hmm.
see that when I talk about relationships, it's not just romantic relationships; it's all relationships. But we can get very specific, typically with the one that's most obvious, which would be the love life relationships. So in your astrology chart, we are able to locate how you process your emotions. We're able to look at how you give and want to receive love. Very important because it's not the same as everybody else. Um, what you really want in a partnership based on your individual values, needs, and desires. Very important for a person to know. Your preferred communication style and how you process disappointment, frustration, or even anger. So imagine it
Wow.
understanding those things, not only about yourself, but also about your partner or your
Hmm.
child or your teenager, right?
Wow. That's powerful. That's really
Yes.
powerful. Yeah, that's amazing. Keep going.
Yeah, so those are typically the highlights. I mean, there's more to uncover in the
Hmm.
chart, but typically when I'm looking at a chart, those are the things that I'm So it's no longer just about, oh, here's your planet and your moon and your Venus and your sign and your houses. It's like, great, what the hell do I do with this? Like, how do I
Right.
take this and apply this immediately in my life? And that's what I really like to help people, like, not only find the shortcut for them, the shortest path from where they are to where they want to go, but how do you start applying this like today, tomorrow, right? In your
Mm-hmm.
relationships. So for somebody who, let's say, has a little bit of difficulty communicating um, their desires, their wants, their needs, right? They have trouble communicating their boundaries up
Right.
front. So oftentimes we find ourselves in situations where the boundaries get crossed.
Mm-hmm.
And then what does that lead to? Oh, disappointment, frustration, anger, resentment. So a lot of these things can be avoided, or at least there doesn't have to be as much of it going on when you really start with yourself first. When you start to understand yourself, most of your listeners and a lot of my clients are on a self-discovery journey anyway, a
Right.
self-reflection journey, healing,
Exactly.
personal growth. When you're already on this path, like, why not take a look at your actual owner's manual, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's see what's in there and see how you can get to where you're trying to go in the shortest amount of time possible, but not skipping any steps, focusing on the steps that are most important for you in your path.
Mm-hmm.
Does that resonate?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And of course, it brings up the question for me inevitably, like when we
Mm,
do this, is it important to also, like, say, if I wanted to see like what my relationship with my son is, of course, I'm going to focus on myself and do the work on
right.
myself. But is it important also, does it make sense to look at their chart as well? Or should we just kind of just focus on ourselves and do our own work?
I always say that the best place to start is with you. That's to start, right? So, for example, if you're just wanting to understand all of this about yourself, that's the best place to start because that gives you the ability to clearly communicate all these things in any relationship, right? In any relationship. However, if you're wanting to understand someone else in your life who's very important to you, or it's perhaps a strained relationship and you want to understand kind of how to navigate through that. Maybe you don't want to cut the person out of your life, but you're like, I need to be able to exist with them in a way that doesn't drive me crazy or
Mhm.
doesn't put where I don't put myself and my needs on the back burner, right? Where I'm still honoring my feelings and who I really am. So any other relationship, any other chart is good. So whether it's you and your son, you and a potential partner, you and an existing partner, you and your
Mhm.
mother's chart, like, it doesn't matter. I've even done charts for moms who are no longer with us. They've passed on, but yet the daughter is still like kind of processing through some things that have gone on in that relationship or how it's affected her in this life. And it's like,
Oh,
oh,
that's
no problem. As
interesting.
long as we have, uh, I would say most of the information, even if you don't have their birth time, it's still going to be 90% accurate. So I can
Okay.
still pull up the charts and still give the client what she needs in terms of just a different perspective,
Yeah.
right? Just a different perspective.
Do you still need to know the birthplace?
Well, that's very helpful because if somebody's born, let's say on the other side of the world, it's going to change the chart, right? But I
Okay,
mean,
okay.
if they're just a couple hours away or something, that shouldn't
Hmm.
matter.
Okay.
But yeah, that's usually pretty
Nice.
helpful. So most
Hmm.
people will say, well, I don't have the birth time. It's okay, not a problem. And
Hmm.
even if they are not sure, because I know there's been an issue also where some parents, their birth time or birth days were actually not correct because of the way that they kept records.
Hmm.
Even that, as long as you can get me the year and the city and state, there's still quite a bit that I can find in there in how it has shown up in your life. Like I do believe that everybody who's important to us in our life, or anybody who's had a significant amount of time in our life, that there's some kind of soul contract going on, whether it's for good, for bad, for ill, we don't know,
Hmm.
but there's something there to learn, I believe, out of every single interaction that is, not just somebody you
That's
met on the bus.
very interesting. Oof, this is
Yes.
getting so
I
good.
see I see the wheels turning.
Right? Like, ooh, soul contracts. Yes.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay. So, last thing I want to say about the relationships is for those of you who have read the five love languages, I
Hmm.
know I have, you probably
Yep.
have, almost
Yes.
everybody I know has. I thought that was just the most amazing thing I ever got my hands on back when I read it. Well, doing this work now with astrology and getting into the charts of each person, it's like the five love languages on steroids, because now
Right.
we're getting way beyond the five love languages. We're getting into like what literally makes you tick. What do you really need? And it's okay to have these needs, but how do you convey that to another person or communicate that without coming off as demanding or needy
Mm-hmm.
or pushy, right?
Yes.
So this gives
That's
you
very
the
important.
this
That's
gives you the
very
verbiage.
good.
I've even had women take some of this stuff and go update their dating profiles
Oh,
using these very specific
oh my God, I
keywords
love that.
that are really, that's real for them. It's true for them, right? Now
That's so cool.
they may get less people coming onto
That's
their
okay.
profile, but that's good because
That's
that
okay.
means you're attracting better
Let
quality
them
people.
weed themselves out.
Let
It's
them
easy.
go.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, awesome. So the second simple shortcut that I like to talk about is the one about purpose,
Yes.
because so many women come to me wanting to know their purpose. And I always feel like when somebody is at a place where they want to know their purpose, they're at some kind of crossroads in their
Mm-hmm.
life, right? There's something going on. There's something they're not quite happy with or fulfilled. Maybe it's the relationship, maybe it's the career path they've chosen. Either way, they're like, if I could just figure out what the hell my purpose is, then I can kind of figure out what it is I want to be doing next, or what could I be doing. I
Right.
don't like to say what should I be doing. What
Right.
could I be doing, right? What other gifts do I have? What other avenues have I not explored yet? And so when somebody comes to me for clarity around their purpose, it's important because it's going to help you identify your unique purpose path. It's going to be the one that you chose to travel in this lifetime, and it's different from everybody else's. So this is where personal growth really starts happening, because in order to start diving into your purpose, your path, what you're really here for, what you're uniquely designed for, that means that there's a little bit of a part of you that starts to break away from
100%.
whatever society has told you that you need
Yeah.
to be doing, whatever your family, your culture has had you believing you need to be doing, or who you need to be up until now. This becomes, like I said, a place where a person's usually having what I like to call a crisis of meaning, right? They're like, what is the meaning of all this in my life? And like, what am I really here to do? And these things are super important for them to know. Now there's again, going back to a lot of the different um, testing, quizzes, online questionnaires, all this stuff. There's so many ways to find your passion, right? To figure out what you're good at, what are your gifts. But this is talking about your purpose path. This is like the reason you incarnated on this planet. Why are you here? What are you supposed to be learning? What are you supposed to be developing? What things are you supposed to be leaving behind because they're no longer needed on this path? In other words, how do you evolve as a soul? How do you grow? And
Mhm.
I know this gets a little deep, but
Yeah.
2024 is not going to be like any um, lightweight astrology anymore. Like, we're going
Yeah.
deep
Yeah.
2024, because more than ever, at least my clients and the people who are making their way to me, they're tired of superficial stuff. They want
Yep.
to get down to what's my truth, what's my path, what am I here for? Because I don't have time to fool around anymore, especially women in midlife or find
In our
themselves,
age group.
we're like,
Exactly.
I don't have time to fool around. I don't care what you think I need to be doing. I need to go figure out what I need to be doing,
Right.
right? What did I sign up
Exactly.
for? So go ahead.
Okay. So yeah. So how do we do this? How do you work that piece,
Okay.
that angle with the purpose?
Well, there's a couple of phases to it, but it starts with clarity, right? So in a purpose clarity session, literally, which is sessions that I offer, in a purpose clarity session, we're not talking about all the things. We're specifically looking at your purpose path. Okay, why? Why do you want to know about this? Because this includes your personal spiritual growth path. So it's not just your purpose path, it's your spiritual growth path. Like, how do you do spirituality in this lifetime in your personal way that isn't subscribing to anybody else's beliefs or
I mean,
ways of doing things?
I mean, isn't that really kind of like it really like your spiritual growth path? I mean, I feel like that kind of pretty much covers it, right? Doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And then there's some pieces that come under that, which would
Mm-hmm.
be your soul work and soul gifts that
Mm-hmm.
you literally are here to share with others if you choose to. I say if you choose to because that doesn't mean that you have to do these things, right? Just because you
Right.
know what your purpose path is and you know what your soul gifts are, doesn't mean you need to go blow up your life and your career and go start doing that. It's just these are things you can even infuse into what you're already doing, even into an existing career, or even if you're a stay-at-home mom, it doesn't matter. You still have these gifts for a reason. You're going to use them somehow.
Can I ask a
Okay.
question about
Yeah,
that? With these soul gifts and this soul work, I mean, wouldn't it make sense that using those would actually make your life easier?
I'm getting
Would
there. Yeah,
okay.
absolutely. No, no, perfect. I
Would
see,
make you
I
feel
love,
fulfilled, like
yes,
this is
yes,
your gift. Like, I get that you spent your whole life being whatever, an
right,
attorney or whatever, marketing
right.
director,
Yeah.
but I feel like, okay, go for it then.
Yeah, and that's part of the challenge, right? Like that's why I say it becomes like a
Hmm.
crisis of meaning. It's like, well, who am I if I'm not on this path? Like, what am I here for? Like, I've invested thousands of dollars in getting my degree in XYZ. I've been on this path, but all the people in my family became doctors. You know, there's this whole thing. Your whole identity can sometimes be built around your career or the chosen path that you made the choice about maybe 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, or some for some
Right,
people longer, right? And
right.
now you're like, oh my God. One of the things that pops up a lot with my clients is guilt. Guilt about being so unfulfilled and unhappy in the long-term path of career that they've chosen
Hmm.
because of all that their parents sacrificed for them, because of maybe the debt that they put themselves in, because like all these things. And one of the things that I tell them, that I share with them, is everything that you've done, every path you've gone down, every skill that you've mastered is guiding you towards your higher purpose. So none of it
Yes.
is just out of the blue. I mean, I
Yeah.
was in financial services for a decade. Okay, going from financial services, helping people, coaching them around their money and all of that stuff, and then going into life coaching and
Hmm.
astrology. I look like a crazy person to everybody who knew me, right? Thank God
Hmm.
I'm an Aries and I didn't care. I was like, the fact that you don't like it, I'm going to go really do it now. so that looked crazy to people. But if I would have stayed on that path because of what my family was going to think, because what everybody was going to think, well, I couldn't imagine going another 5, 10 years like that. I was not
Right.
happy. I was good at what I did. The money was good. And from the outside, it looked fine. I looked like, what's the problem, right? But inside, I was unhappy. I was unfulfilled. I was um, I was burnt out. I was stressed out, and I was just unhappy, to be honest.
Hmm.
And I was like, in my crisis of meaning, like, there's got to be more. This
Right.
can't be it for me.
Yeah.
This cannot be it. I saw the
Same for
people
me.
who I was working with, and they had been there for years and years, and they were older already. And I thought, I got to figure something out like really
Hmm.
quick. So thank God I was introduced to astrology back then, because that it kind of like allowed me to give myself permission to go do what I was created for in the first place, and to
Hmm.
stop fooling around with what everybody else thought I should be doing. And I didn't
Exactly.
I didn't say fooling around, but I'll say that now.
Yes.
Stop messing
We can
around with
say it
whatever,
now.
yeah, with what everybody thought I needed to be doing. Okay. So the next thing that you can learn about yourself from a purpose clarity session is your soul lessons and sensitivity points, which are the keys to your deepest healing and transformation. That is huge.
Hmm.
That is huge, because what if one of your biggest wounds is a money wound? It's a
Hmm.
wound around, scarcity and feeling like there's not going to be enough and needing to hold on to anything that provides a false sense of safety, security, and stability.
Mm.
Well, if you are going to go and try and start your purpose work with your soul gifts, and that happens to be one of your wounds, what do you think is going to be the first thing that shows up on your path to stop you? It's going to be that.
Right.
It's going to be
Exactly.
that. So it's not a lot of things. It's very specific things. Or what if you have a fear of or a wound around rejection, or a wound around um, you know um, looking like you don't know what you're talking about, you're not credible enough. Like these are real
Imposter
things.
syndrome
Yeah,
or
these are real things that show up in somebody's chart. And so whether it's in your own business or your career, it could be the reason why you don't ask for a raise, or the reason why you
mm-hmm,
don't go into the industry that you really
mm-hmm,
feel called to go into. There's so many ways that it stops you. And
mm-hmm.
so I like to just take a big flashlight, flash it right on these particular areas of your chart and go, okay, let's dig this up. Let's look at this and let's see what we can learn about it. What is it trying to teach you? And what's a new perspective that you can have on this so that you use it as fuel and not for a reason to stop yourself?
Mm-hmm. And in shining a light on these like money wounds or imposter syndrome, doesn't then that become your purpose?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Um, it's either part of your purpose path, like, well, it either becomes part of your medicine, like once
Mm-hmm.
you overcome it, you're here to share it
Right.
with others,
Right.
or it is something that once you address it within yourself, it's like you get to take your foot off the brake.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So a lot
Okay.
of times we have our foot on the gas and our foot on the brake. Well, it could be something that needs to be addressed personally just within you and doesn't necessarily need to be shared with other people. See, that's what's so specific about everybody's chart, right? I get to
Mm-hmm.
see like which parts of the chart here are for you to work through and then share with others, and which parts are just for you and your own personal
Okay.
journey.
Okay.
That does that
Nice.
answer?
Absolutely.
Ooh,
Thank
today's
you.
a good one, huh?
That's a good one.
I
Yeah.
like it.
Yes.
All right. And the reason why I say that they're the keys to your deepest healing and transformation is because most of the women that make their way towards us, that's what they want, right? I
Mm-hmm.
call it like the big win. Like they want the deepest level of healing possible, the deepest transformation. I don't know about
Mm-hmm.
you, but I tend to not attract women who just want to skate on the surface. Like they want to go
Right.
deep, they want to get in
Yes.
there, they want to figure it
100%.
out, and they want to like
And we
overcome it.
want to
And
do
that's
it
that.
quick. Like, let's go
Yeah.
in,
And
let's
I don't want
dive
to spend
in,
two,
let's
3
pull
years
it
doing
out,
it.
and let's move on.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Love it.
That's the work that we do. Mm-hmm.
All right. And then there's your soul contracts that you've made with yourself and others. This is important to know on your purpose path journey, because if there's, contracts that you have, again, we'll say, I won't mention any names, but like I have a client who has a bit of a contract with her mother, with her mom, as do I.
Mm-hmm.
And we found out that one of the things that was happening is it was holding her back in her business. It
Mm,
was keeping her stuck in that perfectionism loop, right?
mm,
And so that
mm-hmm,
wasn't necessarily, there was a little bit of in her chart, but when we figured
mm-hmm,
out that it was actually a contract, a soul contract she had with her mom that actually needed to be revised, well, she was able to have a breakthrough around that. And it
mm,
showed immediately
mm-hmm,
because I started seeing how she started showing up online, showing up on her Instagram stories, showing up in her
mm-hmm.
posts. And I was like, she had a breakthrough because that
Yeah.
changed it. Go ahead.
How do you change a soul contract? How do you like rewrite a soul contract?
Well, you revise it.
Oh,
You
how do
update
you
you
revise it?
update it by becoming aware of what it is.
Okay.
Once you become
Okay.
aware of what the soul contract is,
Uh-huh.
you get to update it. You get to
Okay.
revise it. Whether the other person agrees to it or not, only one person has to agree to
Yeah.
it from
Okay.
an energetic standpoint.
I like that.
I could just see all the little
Yeah. Oh,
light bulbs
yes.
going up in your head.
Yeah. I'm always doing the work, whether it's with you or whatever, through
Yeah.
whatever other modality. So I've discovered some things that I've like developed in childhood that I was like, oh my gosh, it was
Yeah.
like such a blind spot that I had that I hadn't realized before. And so that's why I'm like, how do I rewrite that? So,
Yeah,
oh,
and
I
like I
like that.
said, whether you made them with yourself or with another
Hmm.
person, an example of making it with yourself is a soul contract would be like an agreement that you made in a previous
Hmm.
lifetime, right? Like um, maybe you had lifetimes where there was a lot of service in the spiritual world, in the spiritual
Hmm.
community, and maybe at that particular time it was appropriate for you to make an agreement with yourself or a contract with yourself that you were not going to allow yourself to be so focused on money and resources and wealth that you were going to lose sight of your spiritual path and the service that you were offering, because that was appropriate for you at that lifetime. In that lifetime, that's what you needed to learn or focus on. But if you carry that same agreement over into this lifetime, and perhaps you're a Reiki healer and you are an intuitive guide, and you cannot get yourself for the life of yourself to charge your clients what you know that is a fair exchange for the work you're doing, then what happens is you end up burnt out. You
Mm-hmm.
end up over serving, over delivering, over
Mm-hmm.
giving. You can't get yourself to even say that you're raising your prices because it just freaks you out.
Mm-hmm.
It has your nervous system going crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is year after year, you're like, I don't know if I can continue to do this. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if I can continue to do this because I put so much effort and energy out into my services, into my business, and with my clients, and yet I feel depleted. Right, I feel depleted. It feels like my
Yeah.
cup is like always, there's only so much in
Yeah.
there. So when we go back and we take a look at that, and there's a little bit more of a deeper process with that because I also do past life regression
Mm-hmm.
sessions. So
Mm-hmm.
if it's really in there and it's really stuck and we can't find it in the chart, or whatever I'm sharing with you, then sometimes we need to go back a little further and check to see what that agreement really is. But the moment the transformation happens, not while you're trying to discover what it is, what the issue is. The moment you become consciously aware of something, the moment,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the transformation happens.
Okay. I
That's
love
it.
that.
There's not more that you need to go do.
Okay,
Now it's
good.
just about the transformation happens in that moment. Now, what you do with it is up to you.
So
But the
let's say,
transformation already happened.
okay, so let's say, can I use an example?
Please.
Let's say, you realize, okay, I have this wound, right?
Yeah.
Like this imposter syndrome or whatever, that I can't raise my prices. And you identify that, and you hone in on the fact that, like, this is what I'm scared of, right? There's
Yeah.
whatever, some scarcity or
Yeah.
whatever. So I'm just gonna white knuckle it, and I'm gonna raise those prices.
Yeah.
And you raise the prices for the same service. Um, let's say you lose some people, you
Yeah.
know,
Happens every time.
the mere, or maybe not as many people come anymore. The
Right.
mere fact of taking that leap of raising those prices, does that heal it? There's the awareness and there's the action piece of raising the price. Is that the transformation?
I would say that's a big piece of it because
Mm-hmm.
that's the action piece, right? Because remember I
Right.
said whatever you do with it is up to you,
Right.
right? I feel like the deeper layer behind that, like if you really want it to last, because what's to keep a
Right.
person from going back to it 6 months later and going, oh no, that didn't work. Let me go back to what I used to do,
Mm-hmm.
which I've done, so I know all
Mm-hmm.
about it, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The missing piece there that I think makes a lot of the difference is not just becoming consciously aware of what's going on. And okay, yes, I've identified I have this imposter syndrome, right? I would say there could also be an agreement around credibility underneath that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I want to seem credible, or I want to feel credible enough, or I want to be seen as credible. And I don't know if I know enough yet, or if I've
Mm-hmm.
had enough if my clients have had enough of the results yet for me to feel that
Mm-hmm.
I'm fully credible. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
there's more to it, but more importantly than that is to find out the the deeper
Yeah.
reason why that contract is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is driving the contract? What
Mm-hmm.
is driving the agreement? What is driving the fear? When you get to that, which may or may not be from this lifetime,
Right.
it might be from this life, it might be from childhood, or it could be
Mm-hmm.
from a couple of lifetimes ago. But the moment that you become aware of what's
Of
driving
where,
it,
if where
that's
it was
that's it.
formed, and okay, that's the piece. Okay, I
That's
like
the
that.
piece. And again, you don't have to get into all the gory details about it. It's just like the
Mm-hmm.
moment you become aware of where it came from
Mm-hmm.
and why and how it served you at that point.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Okay.
the part that allows you to keep going with the changes, and eventually the people will catch up. Does
Okay. So
that make
then
sense?
using the same example then. So if I know where my imposter syndrome came from,
Yeah.
which was from a past lifetime where something happened and I was like this medicine woman and I was very powerful and I helped the whole village and I was teaching all the young girls to do what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then my own daughter passed away. So
Mm-hmm.
then I was I like, who am I to be teaching this when I couldn't even save my own daughter? but yet there was nothing really I could have done about it. But in that moment, that imposter syndrome was created, and I've carried that in every lifetime ever after, including this one.
Yes. Yes.
So knowing that and being like, oh, aha, like that was the aha moment.
Right.
Is that then the deeper work? Like, okay, I get it now. I know where that came from.
What's
Is that the
coming up,
piece?
what's coming up for me as you're talking, and this is just spontaneously happening as it
Yes.
often does, um, forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Like I would probably want to do a past life regression where we go back and where you're able to forgive yourself
Uh-huh.
for something that you had absolutely no control over,
Yes. Uh-huh.
right?
Okay.
But it's almost like who am I to do this with others? Like I'm not worthy of doing this work with others because I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
help my own child,
Right.
right? And then wanting to forgive that
Yes.
version of yourself.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
once that forgiveness really happens, in a way, it unhooks the energy that's binding you in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
now it becomes, I'm not worthy enough to offer this because I failed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you said that, but like,
Right, right. No, no, no. That's what he
because I
says.
failed in keeping my child alive. But then I'm going to offer an even more, a higher spiritual perspective.
Mm-hmm.
If in fact that we don't just subscribe to the fact that we have only one lifetime, if we do, and most of the people I talk to believe that we have more than one lifetime, then at some point we're all going to experience different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be the villains, we're going to be the heroes, we're going to be the ones who have suffered loss, we're going to be the ones who caused the loss. Like you're going to
Mm-hmm.
experience all these different things. What if in that particular lifetime one of the things that you experienced was loss? Because what if in this lifetime some of the people that come to you have experienced loss? How would you even be able to help them through that, hold space for them? But
Right.
somehow you connected perhaps
Yes.
the two things.
Yes.
And so our work would be to pull those apart
Mm-hmm.
and not
Okay.
let them be fused together anymore, because
Mm-hmm.
especially if that's showing up in business.
Mm-hmm.
Does that
Okay.
sound crazy or make sense?
That makes sense. No, that sounds crazy good.
Good.
Yes.
Crazy
No,
good's
that makes
good.
sense. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. And then the last one would be, because you did allude to this a little while ago, how to turn your purpose work and soul gifts into a prosperous business if you
Mm-hmm.
choose. This is not something that you have to do. Like I said, you don't need to go blow up your career of 20 years or 15 years or blow up your current business or any of those things. This is just something that you can do if you choose to. How do I know you can do it? Because I've done it myself. I've
Mm-hmm.
helped other clients do it. You help clients do it. We know this is possible. But there's something very interesting and powerful that happens when you understand what your soul gifts are, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
understand what your purpose work could be, because it's not one specific thing. It's like, here's an umbrella. This is the energy of it. And here's about three things you could do with it if you choose to. Which one appeals to you more? Which one excites you? Which one fires you up? Then that's the one you want to go start with. It's
Mm-hmm.
not about Monica telling somebody, this is your purpose, you're supposed to be a coach, and this is how you're supposed. No, it's not about that. It's, here's the umbrella, this is the energy, this is the container. How would you like to be of service to others with these?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then it's about packaging it, pricing it, and presenting it to others, because they have their own gifts. They have their own things, their own soul gifts that they're good at, that they're helping other people with, whether it's in their daily life or as a career. So who are you to hold your gifts back? Your gifts are not for you. Our gifts, our soul gifts, are not for us. They've been given to us so that we can be there for other people and share, whether we charge for it or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I love
believe,
that.
I believe that God's spirit universe would not give us these gifts and not allow us to be able to sustain ourselves
Yes.
financially at the same
100%.
time.
I 100% agree with that. I feel like if we're not charging some sort of an energy exchange, if there isn't an equal energy exchange, then we just burn ourselves out. as well.
Yeah,
And then we don't show up as a full version of ourselves in our
right.
true 100% giving of all our gifts because that energy exchange is not equal on the other end.
Well, and again, going back to perspective, right? I deal a lot with helping my clients shift their perspective on things. Because sometimes when you look at something from a different angle, you're like, oh, I'm just seeing something completely different that I didn't see before. And a shift in perspective around our soul gifts is, what if they're not for you? What if
Mm-hmm.
they're not for you? What if they are for someone else? And you're sitting there like, well, my Instagram doesn't look good. And, I don't have my website up yet. And I haven't
Mm-hmm.
done new headshots. And so I can't really go out and help anybody yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Right.
just going to call bullshit on all of that
Yeah,
stuff
that's
because
that's
it's not
real.
true.
That's negative selfishness right there. It's like it's when you're making it about yourself.
All those things are important at some point. They do become important, especially if you want to grow your business and you want to look presentable, right? But what's more important is how do you clearly communicate the value of your gifts and what you offer so that you can help somebody who's in need.
Mhm.
That's where I believe we need to start. If we start there, all the resources, opportunities, and things will start to show up for you to be able to sustain yourself financially and then go and spend the money on all the bells and whistles for your business.
Mhm.
A little bit of a
Okay. Love that.
different
Okay.
take on that.
Cool. All right.
Oh, awesome. All right. And we're good on time. We have
Y-
one more left.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Cool.
So number 3 is personal timing. So this is important because it helps you to plan ahead for opportunities and potential obstacles. I said potential obstacles that may be coming your way over the next 12 months. So it doesn't matter if you're doing it for 2024, for the new year, or you're coming to me in the middle of the year or the last 3 months of the year. It doesn't matter. We're always going to look at the next 12 months just to kind of see what's going on. It helps you know when it's time for you to push forward with your plans, ideas, and projects in your business or career, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when it's time to schedule some time to recharge your batteries. Like, when do you
Okay.
schedule some downtime? So, for example, Sonia, I think, I don't know which reading it was, but I may have shared with you, like, okay, in these months, this is a great time to like be putting out your offers and if you have a program coming out or whatever it is. And then during these months, like, I always say schedule in some downtime, like don't put too much on your plate if you can. And if you can
Mm-hmm.
do that in advance, the better. True.
Awesome. I love that. Yes.
All right. And then how to make the most of your midlife transits, which are 3 time release checkpoints that we all experience. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this was my favorite to talk about because you and I did a full episode on this.
Yes. And
And
I
we
loved it.
know we know it
And
was
people loved it.
episode 11, right?
Episode
Okay,
11.
episode
Yes.
11. So there,
It's episode 11. And just so people know, it's called Navigating Midlife with Astrology, Empower Your Journey with the Planetary Cycles.
awesome.
And it was
So
amazing.
so these 3 time release checkpoints, and this is the one you said was downloaded the most, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
these 3 time release checkpoints that we all will experience. Let me give you the ages that they happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Age 37 to 43 would be the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's age 42 to 44, which is an overlap there. And then age 48 to 50. So 37 to 43, 42 to 44, and 48 to 50. Any one of those little time released checkpoints in your life is designed to get your attention. It's designed to get you to stop for a moment and reflect on your journey, on your path, on where you've been, on where you are, and where you're going. Sometimes, if we're not listening or we're not stopping to reflect on our own, the universe will send a nice little situation your way to get your attention, right? And
Mm-hmm.
what could that look like? A change of a job, an unwanted change, or
A big
unwanted and
breakup.
unexpected, a breakup, a makeup, like who knows, right? A new job, a loss of a job.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't always have to be something really heavy, but it is designed to get you to pause and to reflect and to see how how much am I aligned with where I want to go, with who I really am, with how I really feel. Does this fit me anymore? Does this
Mm-hmm.
job still fit me? Does this relationship still fit me? Does this you know, feeling unhealthy fit me anymore? Like all these things, right? So that's what it's designed for. But if you are in any of those age brackets, which is why we call it midlife, um, just know that there's a higher purpose behind any experiences that you're having. And these are also opportunities for major growth and for expansion. So they don't just have to be marked by something bad happening. This is also where something really positive is coming your way.
Right.
But if you don't know that you
Mhm.
need to release this other stuff before the new stuff could come in, then, you know,
And
that
you
could be a
keep
little bit of an issue.
you kind of keep getting, slapped across the head, right? To just kind of like pay attention. Like you
Yes.
got to do this.
Yes, my friend and I used to call it, I'm in the middle of a spiritual smackdown. I'm
Yes.
having another
A
spiritual
spiritual
smackdown.
smackdown. I love that.
Because it's like I wasn't getting it, right? Or
Mm.
I was like, oh yeah, I'll deal with that later. I'll deal with that later. Well, later is now.
I
All
love
right.
it. Okay.
So yeah, so I would say if you want to know a little bit more about the specifics of those cycles that we're talking about right now,
Mhm.
go back and listen to episode 11 because
Yes.
we really went deep dive and specific with that.
Yes, we
So
did.
any one of these three reasons is why
Hmm.
somebody would come and see me, and we would
Yes.
pull up their astrology chart. Most
Awesome.
people, when they book an astrology reading, what they get oftentimes is a generalized,
Hmm.
a generalized description of their astrology chart, which they don't know what to do with. Like it's
Right.
nice, but I don't know what to do with
Right.
that.
Right.
So
Right.
here, these sessions are a little bit more
Hmm.
specific and
Okay.
laser focused in
Perfect.
on what it is you need. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
So, and
Thank you.
then,
Thank you.
yeah, and then can I just let them know that
Yes,
we put something together for them?
absolutely. Please
Awesome.
do.
All right. So Sonia and I asked her if it'd be okay. We did this last time. I created a private link for all of your listeners where they can go and request a complimentary 20-minute midlife astrology session with me. It's complimentary, and it will be at soulempowered.net/midlife 20. So midlife 20, one word, okay? 20.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I
so that's what I have
highly
for you.
recommend it. It will be transformative. And if you want it to be life-changing, it will be life-changing if you allow that to be. I highly, highly
Awesome.
recommend it.
Well, thank you for having me. Is
You're
there any last
very
questions you
welcome.
have or?
This is always amazing as usual. I wish I could dive deeper into each of them. I know we already dove deep into the personal timing one, but this is great. I know everybody's going to find this very helpful and informative as always. So thank you
Awesome.
so much for sharing your time, and I'm sure people will find this great. Thank you. And,
Thank you
and
so
where can they find
much.
you at Instagram at soul underscore empowered?
Yes,
Yes.
soul_empowered on Instagram. That's probably the best way to catch up with me.
Awesome. All right.
Well,
Well,
thank you for
thank you,
having
Monica,
me
so much for being here again. You are welcome to come back whenever you want.
anytime.
Thank you.
Bye.
Awesome. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that you took away some very useful nuggets of information. I hope that you truly take advantage of the 20-minute complimentary session that she is offering the listeners. You will get so much out of it. And like always, thank you so much for being here. Share this with your amigas. Please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcast if you like this episode so that we can reach more women like you and I who are wanting to make a transformation, feeling stuck, unfulfilled. Hasta la próxima.